Greetings summoners and welcome back to Lords of Lore. Today I give you the full story of Renger the Pride Stalker and Kha'Zix the Void Reaver. Enjoy. Kha'Zix the Void Reaver's bio. A vicious void predator, Kha'Zix infiltrated Valorant to devour the land's most promising creatures. With each kill he absorbed his prey's strength, evolving to grow more powerful. Kha'Zix's hunger most to conquer and consume Renger, the one beast he considered his equal. When Kha'Zix crossed over into this world, he was fragile and ravenous. The animals he first encountered were too small to fuel the rapid evolution he craved. Kha'Zix focused his hunger on the most dangerous creatures he could find, risking his life to satisfy his need. With each kill, he feasted and changed, becoming a stronger, faster predator. Kha'Zix soon chased his prey with unrestrained aggression, believing he was unstoppable. One day, while savoring a fresh kill, the predator became the prey. From cover, a creature pounced in a blur of fangs and steel, tackling him to the ground. It roared in his face, slashing and clawing, and Kha'Zix felt his blood spill for the first time. Screeching in fury, he sliced at the brute's eye, driving it back. They fought from sunset to sunrise. Finally, near death, they reluctantly separated. As his wound closed, Kha'Zix burned with anticipation at the idea of devouring one who could match the void's strength. He resumed his search for powerful prey with renewed vigor. Someday, Kha'Zix will feast on Renger. Renger, the Pride Stalker's bio. Renger is a ferocious Vestian trophy hunter who lives for the thrill of tracking down and killing dangerous creatures. He scours the world for the most fearsome beast he can find, especially seeking any trace of Kha'Zix, the void creature who scratched out his eye. Renger stalks his prey neither for food nor glory, but for the sheer beauty of pursuit. Renger hails from a tribe of Shuriman Vestian known as the Kha'Zix, whose society venerated the honor and glory of the hunt. Renger was born the runt of the litter to the tribe's chieftain, Punjaf. Punjaf believed Renger's diminutive size would make him a worthless hunter. He ignored his child, assuming the runt would starve to death. Eventually, the young Renger fled the camp, ashamed that he had disappointed his father. He subsisted on grubs and plants for weeks until one day he was nearly killed by a legendary human hunter named Markon. Upon seeing Renger's state, he took pity on the creature and let it live. Besides, this was no mighty Vestian warrior worthy of Markon's blade. Renger spent months following Markon, feeding off the corpses the hunter left behind. He still hoped to one day rejoin his tribe, and so took great care in observing how Markon took down his quarries. After some time, Markon grew sick of the pathetic Kha'Zix following him around. He put a knife to Renger's throat and informed him that the only way to be a hunter was to hunt. He tossed Renger the blade and kicked him down a ravine, where he was forced to make his first kill to survive. From then on, Renger spent years pushing himself almost to breaking point. He scoured Shurima for the most powerful and dangerous prey. Though he would never be as big as other Kha'Zix, Renger was determined to be twice as ferocious. Over time, instead of coming back to his camp each time with fresh scars, he began to come back with trophies. He polished a sandhawk's skull to a sheen. He braided the teeth of a shrieker into his hair. Then, when he decided the time had come, Renger returned to his tribe, ready to be accepted as a true hunter. Punjaf scoffed at Renger and his trophies. He decided that only by bringing back the head of the elusive and legendary void abomination known as Kha'Zix would Renger be welcomed back into the tribe. Blinded by his eagerness, Renger allowed this cunning beast to get the drop on him. The void creature ripped out one of Renger's eyes and escaped. Furious and defeated, Renger admitted his failure to Punjaf. As expected, his father chastised him. But as Punjaf spoke, Renger noticed all the trophies adorning his father's hut were dusty and old. The chieftain had not hunted anything in a long time. He had likely sent Renger after Kha'Zix because he was too afraid to do it himself. Renger interrupted his father and called him a coward. Many Kha'Zix were blessed with strong bodies and comfortable homes. Renger, conversely, was born facing death. He taught himself how to hunt, and he had the trophies and the scars to prove it. Even his bloody eye socket was a trophy, proof that though Renger was born with disadvantages, he never gave up. Renger leapt onto his father and gutted him from neck to belly. The fierce hunters of the tribe crowned him with flame roses, marking him as their new chieftain. But Renger didn't need his village acceptance. All he needed was adrenaline pumping through his veins as he chased down his prey. He left the village without even pausing to take a trophy from what was left of Punjab. His father was not a kill worthy of remembering. Instead, he set off determined to find and slay the void creature that had tried to blind him. Not to satisfy the Kha'Zix, but to satisfy himself. Short story Prey by Anthony Birch. Renger smelled the blood before he saw the dead humans. 6 or so he estimated, but it was tough to get an exact count thanks to the number of pieces they had been torn into. Their swords were strewn above the meadow, as useful as dull cutlery. He knelt, licking blood from the ground, cold to the tongue, still sweet, yet bitter with the taste of iron. It had been spilled less than an hour ago. Turning over one of the stray limbs in his hand, Renger found a line of greenish saliva dangling from where the arm had been ripped from its body. He raised the stump to his nose and sniffed. The saliva smelled foul, like a corpse that had rotted in a puddle of excrement. Just raising it to his nose nearly made Renger want to vomit, and he had a stronger stomach than most. He smiled his white toothy smile. The creature who inflicted these wounds would be easy to track. Renger watched from the brush as the razor hide worked its claw around an old man's skull and crushed it between its bone teeth. It howled in disappointment, evidently unimpressed by the lack of crunch. The giant four-legged beast stomped through the elderly man's tent, crushing it with a single step, then biting at the canvas and tearing it apart. Tossing aside the man's bedroll, it howled in delight as Renger heard the scream of a young boy. Little one, frightened, good fear, delicious fear. Time to eat. Time to silent screams. Time to... pain. Pain on the back of its neck, sharp and hot. Something bit it? No, another pain. Then another sharp stab. Something with a weapon. Something with some fight in it. Maybe something tasty? Renger held on to the Kira saber with one hand as the razor hide bucked back and forth, trying to dislodge him. With his other hand, he grabbed the knife, puncturing the beast's leathery hide over and over. He knew he'll never be able to kill the beast this way, but he'll get it bleeding, confuse it, with any luck, panic it. The razor hide dropped to its stomach, rolling over, taking Renger with it. It was fast, much faster than Renger would have thought of a creature of its size. He barely had time to dislodge his blade and jump away. The two combatants got to their feet, blood trickling down the razor hide scale, each one sharp enough to sever a limb. Combined, the scale made for a nigh impenetrable defense, and 1,000 small weapons all at the same time. It circled Renger, sniffing the air. Renger could tell he would never win a straight fight against it. It was too big, too quick, too strong. A lifetime of scars had taught Renger the secret of hunting. It wasn't about being strong, it was about knowing when to withdraw and when to attack. Right now, it was time to withdraw. He sprinted away from the village, towards the tall grass surrounding it. The razorhide leaped after him in pursuit, its feet pounding the earth. Renger could hear it behind him. He could be hidden in the grass soon enough, but the razorhide would catch up to him long before then. He just needed a few extra seconds. One-eyed Vestaya will be delicious. Only one thing tastier than something young. Something that just tried to kill you. Stomp the cat beast to death before eating? No. Better to swallow whole. Feel thrashing grow weaker and weaker until it deliciously stops. Unhinge jaw. Bite down. Feel warm spots of blood. Tripping? Falling? What? Some sort of weapon. 3 balls tied together with leather, tangled around legs. Bad. Still, broke free easily. But Catbeast's gone. Only slight rustle in tall grass show where he went, bound into field after it. Catbeast small, scared. Me, big, fast. Will stomp all tall grass down if it takes. Pain. Warmth running down hind legs. From where? Behind. No, Catbeast ran away again. Pain. New pain. Inside. Annoying. Not problem, just annoying. Start running. Doesn't matter which direction. Put distance between us. Regroup. Turn around. Where Vestaya? Maybe ran away. Maybe hiding. Waiting. This was the best part. Invisible within the tall grass. His prey cautious, but not smart enough to be terrified. The momentary silence before the attack. Before the quarry realized how helpless it was. Before the howls of pain, and the blood, and the adrenaline, and the joy. Renger threw his head back and roared. Where roar coming from? Sound like everywhere. Not roar of anger, not roar of fear. Excitement. Getting closer. No. This was a mistake. Out in the open. Run. Run back. Hard to breathe. Why? The wound in the side. Deeper than it felt. Throat wet, choking blood. Don't slow down. Where's village? This way? No, the other. Vestaya still roaring, still getting closer. Run. Doesn't matter where, just Flesh of metal? Cold air blowing on stomach. No, inside stomach. Feel self growing lighter. Sound of something wet and heavy hitting the ground. Many wet and heavy things. Look back. Guts. Fluid, a trail of red and green. Pain, stinging pain, throbbing pain, stabbing pain, everywhere. Can't stand up, legs buckle, breathing hard. Hear footstep coming closer. Sound of knife leaving sheath. Feel something, something new, something terrible. Not hunger, anger, joy, fear. Renger approached the prone razorhide, its feet still kicking at the air as the blood poured from the massive slash across its belly. Its eyes were dilated. What trophy would he take? The skull? The mane? The creature lifted its head, working its jaw, biting at the air out of anger or confusion. Renger smiled. The creature's bone tooth was sharp, smooth. One of those would make an impressive addition to his necklace. Short story adaptation by Ian S.T. Martin. To be exiled is to be erased. You are not forgotten, you never existed at all. Each beat of your heart is judged unworthy of counting. Even a slave wearing chains proving their value. Even the dead are mourned. I am nothing to the Keelash who birthed me. The name Renger no longer recalls the face of their kin, son of Chieftain Punyaf. I am outcast from their hearts, as well as their halves. There is no return from such a fate, or so I was told. Years and blood can change such things. My heart still beat, and so I went to them with trophies gathered on the hunter's path. Wordlessly, I was brought before my father's gaze. He offered me to return to the tribe, where my name would be spoken and face remembered, where my heart's beating would be counted again. And he named the cost for such a thing. I must track a shadow, bladed shard of moonless night, abomination. Return from the jungle with its head, and I shall be exiled no more. I melt between the trees. I hear, smell, feel. I pass the spore of 1,000 creatures, big and small. This comes from instinct. Sharpened by the cold teaching of a human who found an outcast and set him down the path of the hunt, I still bear the knife Markon gave me. The search for the wrong thing that dwells here, unable to belong. The trophies that hang and rattle from my coat are gone, left behind at my camp. There is only the blade, a layer of grease to slicken my fur, and the slow, measured beat of a hunter's heart in my chest. There is nothing amid the teeming life of the rainforest, until there is something. It is faint but stark, slithering over my senses. The sickly sweet unfamiliarity of it holds me for a moment as I take it in. It is wrong in every way, repulsive, an enemy to life in ways I cannot describe. It defines everything around it. The true hunt begins. I follow the trail. I snake around it, never touching. I endure the wrong thing's scent until the sound of bloodletting rewards me. Something is dying. Through the trees ahead, it is not dying well. A pack of jungle raptors. Far from the apex, raptors are still capable predators and rarely ever prey. Their attacker is either desperate with hunger or unconcerned by the lethality. I bare my teeth in a grin. It may be challenging after all. The reek of the wrong thing is overpowering. It clings to the clumps of bright, bloody plumage strewn above the forest floor. I search up a thick, rugged tree trunk, my claws carrying me silently into the canopy. I crouch there, in the leafy shadow, tasting the humidity of the air, narrowing my eyes, seeking my quarry. It has speed. That is a weapon it has honed to a fine edge. I catch only glimpses as it darts back and forth, finishing its kill and preparing to feast. The promise of trophies does not spur it to hunt. I sense a greater hunger in its movement, something beyond the primal urge to survive. When the last raptor dies, the wrong thing slows. Even so, it is never still. It leaps and slides across the ground like smoke. I can see it more clearly now. It makes my brain itch. It is like an insect, but not completely. Its parts do not make sense. Limbs and flesh, shell and claw that cannot belong to the same single creature. All inside a glistening outer skeleton, blackish purple like rotten fruit. The air and light writhe around it. They do not want to touch it either. That gives me the understanding I seek. The wrong thing bears the mark of an exile too. I am ready to send it back to whatever foulness spawned it. With Markon's knife light in my grip, I drop from the branch. There's no sound when I land behind the creature. It pays my approach no heed. I know how to move unseen, unheard, until those sweet adrenaline-filled moments after a killing blow is struck. I have risen to become an apex predator by adaptation, by instinct, and in this moment my instinct screams that something is not right. Hesitation saves my lifeblood from joining that of the raptors. I barely see the claw as it sliced the air I would have occupied. It knew I was coming. Had I not stopped short, it would have ended me then. Everything has been too clean, too easy. I should have recognized this sooner. Punjab's promise has blinded me, confidence soured to hubris, leaving me exposed. A slick chittering comes from the monster's throat. Ichor flakes its jaws. There is movement on its back, straining against the carapace. It hisses, a noise I cannot tell is of pain or pleasure, as a pair of new limbs erupt and unfurl into hideous dripping wings. It has seen the threat I pose, and so it changes. It is unwilling to submit as prey. I lunge. Too slow. The creature's repose sent Markon's knife spinning from my grip. Foolishly, sentimentally, my eyes follow it for an instant. The error opens the way for the wrong thing to strike. Another bladed claw flings out, hot, stinging pain, a roaring between my ears. I fall back, blood slicks my face. I scramble to gain distance, trying to blink the red from my vision. The right eye is a blur, the left eye remains dark. The roaring will not fade. I reach for my cheek. I realize what the beast has taken. Beating the last of the vile slime from its wings, the wrong thing rises to hover over me. It bares its fangs either in further challenge or a cruel grin. And it holds my left eye up for me to see. Slowly, it lowers the blood silk orb over its fangs and drops it down its gullet. My gorge races. I clench my fist, rubbing at my remaining eye. The defilement of it. The symbolic shift as this foul creature snatches the role of hunter away from me. I no longer feel any pain, only rage. I hurl myself at it. I need no knife. I have the claws I was born with, and the triumphant roar I learned for myself. I will not be defeated. We collide. The red dance of violence seems unending. We each give chase in turn. The abomination is cold darkness. I am the core of a vengeful sun. We cut away at each other, over and over, and the rest of the world no longer matters. Finally, as night falls, my enemy flees. Or is that just how I wish to see it? Maybe it learned all it can from me, and instincts guides it to greater things. Exhaustion takes hold. I collapse, left with bloody wounds and a new terrible sense of connection to this monster. It is a bond forged in the moment it ate of my flesh. The kill has known the wrong thing as Kha'Zix. In the old mortal tongue it means, you face yourself. True enough, it changes as we fought, growing and twisting. It went forward, always forward to find its edge. When I looked back into myself, back into the past and the tribe of my birth, to summon my exile's fury. This was not enough. As it has adapted, now so must I. For I will have my kill. And that summers concludes the story of Renger and Kha'Zix. I decided to include them both because their story are always entangled within each other. The second short story, Adaption, was added to Kha'Zix's universe page, which is odd since it's told from Renger's perspective. Kha'Zix doesn't really have a standalone story, unlike Renger, which was Prey, the first short story. But that aside, if you like this video, why don't you give it a like? If you think others will like it, then tell them that I exist. And I think you should subscribe for the future for more awesome League of Legends stories. But until next time, enjoy.